Hello and welcome back to Beers with Buds. I'm your host, Andrew Friedman, the cannabis sommelier. Today I'm joined by my good bud, my new bud, Veera Kaur. How are you today, Veera?
I am fabulous. How are you?
I'm so good. I'm pretty sore. I had to do landscaping and I'm the cannabis sommelier. I do about very little to no actual physical labor. I used to be a plumber, and I do not miss digging holes and hauling dirt, let me tell you.
You've been reminded that you don't love it.
My hands actually hurt. I shook somebody's hand a few days ago, and they're like, ooh, your hands are pretty soft. And I was like, oh, I don't know if that's a compliment or an insult at this moment. But I definitely like my soft hands right now. I'm like, damn, I'm dying. This is great. I'm ready for some wine, a beer, a good chat. So
let's relax.
Yeah, thank you for being my midday excuse.
Thanks for having me.
Well, thank you for being here. I couldn't do this without you. I don't know if anybody would actually want to listen to me if I just sat here and talked to myself. Maybe they would.
You never know.
So why don't you introduce yourself? Just tell people who you are, and then we're just going to start talking.
Okay, cool. So I am Veera, as Andrew mentioned. My quickest background about me, I was born in Malaysia.
Cool.
Not a lot of people know that. And we came when I was super, super young. So full-on immigrant family, started from the bottom and now we're here.
Awesome.
So lived in Winnipeg majority of my life and then moved out to Calgary. Was here for about 11 years and then just recently moved to Edmonton for love. And
you must really love him.
I really do. I mean, I do miss Calgary, and it is what it is. But I'm fortunate enough to have a good group of people there, and then my job allowed me to move out there and be able to still come to Calgary for work and.
That's so awesome.
Yeah.
Well, what's your job? Tell people about your job. It's kind of why you're here a little bit,
So, we have a little bit of a connection because I actually worked in the alcohol bev industry. And so that's, after Coca-Cola, I came over to alcohol bev side, was there for a few years, and then went and had fun, saw the world, and then had another opportunity, alcohol bev side, but... The cannabis industry came a-knocking, and I had my doors wide open, double door style.
We're all waiting for it. Every alcohol bev person's like, God, when am I going to get the weed call?
When am I getting it? And not only did I get the call, but I got the call from Supreme Cannabis.
Yeah, one of the best in the biz right now.
I'm kind of biased, but thank you. I couldn't have asked for a better company to work for, and of course our subsidiary is 7 Acres, so that is our LP in Canada.
We'll open some bubbles to celebrate that. That's what we like to do. We're not going to start with beer on Beers with Buds today. We come from the wine side. We're wine people. I'm opening wine.
We're so elegant.
We are so elegant. That's one of the big reasons I got into wine, and one of the things I wanted to stop was the pretentiousness of it. Like, why is wine so pretentious?
And it's a great comment. I am...
As we drink Lambrusco.
Yeah, I fucking love Lambrusco.
Yes, good, me too.
Oh, can you swear? Sorry.
Fuck yeah, you can. This is an adult podcast.
I was like, oh shoot, it's gonna come out. I gotta watch my mouth here.
You're good.
Love Lambrusco, but yeah, I was a newbie coming over from CPG world, and that was my experience going to alcohol bev, and so loved the product, but I was like, I gotta learn, a lot more, and there was a lot of pretentiousness in not knowing, right?
Yes.
And that was my hardest part, where I'm so happy that yes, cannabis is completely brand new, and so everyone is a lot more inviting and welcoming, but it's so refreshing to be in this industry where it's like, hey, you don't know, but we'd love to teach you.
Because we all don't really know that much.
And we're all learning, but it's just, it makes that environment that much
Yeah, it's more inviting.
Better,
it's totally more inviting. It's way less cutthroat. That was one of the big things getting out of alcohol was like, if you're not in the boys club, the OGs, whatever, like, people aren't really messing with you. There's a lot of like rules that you have to bend to actually play the game, to compete with everybody else.
Yeah.
And that's really hard in cannabis. Like you don't get to bend any of those rules because nobody's bending those rules, and it's not the status quo at this point.
Totally.
I'm sure there will be some corruption. If there's one thing that's absolute.
Oh, I mean, come on, exactly.
Well, that one
down the road, there's going to get that competitive nature too, right? Because there
was that company in Winnipeg that brought in a whole bunch of cannabis through the back door.
Bonafide.
And I just recently read that like nobody's gonna be in trouble. Like they're not gonna follow up any criminal pursuits or anything. Yeah,
from what I've heard too, and just like reading online and the news around the industry is that there was a suspension, like, and the only people that can do that is Health Canada, of course. They're the end all be all.
But don't you think they should go to jail? Like if I got caught selling 550 kilos, like I'm going to jail.
I mean, I think there should be some sort of message as to when this all first started and as it continues, is that, our goal is to sort of diminish the black market.
Yeah.
And if that's one of the biggest points, then there should be sort of like, these are the rules, everybody else is playing by them. Why aren't you?
Yeah, because to me, I knew that criminal organizations were not going to be eliminated through a licensed system. Like there's big money. The real gangsters aren't riding motorcycles. They're lawyers and doctors and politicians. And so when I saw that, I was like, oh, this is clearly gangster stuff. Who has the network to actually just bring a box truck with 550 kilograms to their licensed producer? Like most
just
people,
by one phone call, like, hey, hello, I'm
how much do you have?
No, clearly
back the truck up. And it's like, and then you have to find the guy that's willing to sell an LP 550 kilos. I'm pretty sure that was the number that they had bought in or something.
I think it was something like that, or like 200. Like one of those. It was an
exorbitant.
Astronomical amount. Like not just piddly little like.
Yeah, we're talking like 20 hockey bags.
Yeah, exactly. It's a lot.
Yeah.
So we can't, what are we going to do about it? Like, we can sit here and complain, and I don't think it's right. I don't think
somebody might hear. That's the coolest part about having the microphone.
Totally.
Is the reach that it comes to.
Yeah, that's true. And, like, the opinion of it's not right.
Who else is listening, right? You know, there's amazing people that see the unjustness of it, too, that... when people collectively come together, unions are so powerful for a reason. I'm in a group chat, and my buddy just got a job at a liquor store, and he asked another friend, he's like, how much is your discount at Co-op? And he's like, nothing. He's like, what? I get cost plus 10. And he's like, yeah, well, we don't. And nobody could figure out why. I'm like, it's because you guys are a union, and you band together, you get paid better, you have good benefits.
There's other perks that you might not think are perks, but
benefits working in a liquor store versus costed liquor,
yes,
I know what's less destructive.
Yeah. Exactly.
That was the scariest part when I had never sold hard booze before, and
same here actually.
When I went out on that whole experience, it went from like really fine wines where I was so proud of what I did to a little bit upsetting, to be super honest, because I saw the amount of alcohol abuse that happens with hard alcohol.
Right.
If you're drinking $150 bottles of wine, there's only so many you can drink. But small dickies and even a lot of sambuca.
Yeah.
A lot of sambuca.
Lots of those little that's what you'd always see. It's so funny. Just working in the old world, and you'd see which package size sold the most, and it's those it's those exactly, because they fit right in your pocket, and going back to alcohol abuse, you're just like, ugh,
and people get 6 of them through the day because they know if they bought a 2.6, they just drink the whole thing, and you can just rifle a little sambuca back and
boom, and keep it discreet, because you can just put it in your pocket and no one's gonna know.
Well, I never really clued into seeing minis on the ground out and about until I consciously started thinking about that, and I was like, oh, they're kind of everywhere, and it's not just shithead young kids or whatever that's chucking these minis. It's full on alcoholics that drink these all through the day.
It's everybody. Yeah. And to say even I think the sort of unexperienced mind, and I totally, like, there's no judgment. I was one of those people thinking, oh, you know, it's a homeless person. That's like, that's where the dollars and whatever went to. No, it's everybody.
Super normal people.
It's your mom and, you know, it's your mom and your dad. That's like, sure, in my coffee, or, you know, doctor. Like, gotta go to work. Like, exactly. So yeah, there's no, I think you gotta, like, kind of cancel those stereotypes of this is who is consuming.
Totally.
You know, and that goes to cannabis too, because gosh, like going into all the retail stores, you're like, yeah. You
sit out front for 10 minutes. It's so cool to see the different, every walk of life, and even at the different stores. It's very interesting being downtown versus like a store in the South. When you're downtown, it is the coolest collection of people.
Yeah.
Hippies, grubby people, construction workers, suits, getting high heels, like
diamonds. Yeah.
Yeah, it's everybody, and it's so cool to see.
Yeah.
Someday it'll be, there's still some stepping stones. So you might know this better because I don't actually know. Is there any retail outlet in the country where you can actually open the cannabis in the store?
Well, so, you know, I don't know for 100% sure. However, in my last trip to Winnipeg just this week, we were there on Tuesday, and when we were in store, they actually were opening up the package because the customer purchased it first.
Okay.
And then they went to the counter, and he was like, "Can you grind it for me? Because I don't have a grinder." Oh. So they opened it, ground it, and then put it back in the package, and
totally illegal in Alberta.
He walked. So totally illegal. Like, you're not allowed to do that here. Crazy. So I don't know if that's, that's something that, like, I literally, when we saw that, I was like, that's really cool.
Yeah, respect. That's a medicinal kind of approach to it, right?
Totally. And, like, they even said, hey, one retailer was like, I actually sat in store for an hour teaching a customer how to roll a joint. Because they were like, can you please help me?
Yeah.
And so they did it. And I was like, that's really cool. Like, that person is now going to keep coming back.
That's how you build customer loyalty.
That's how you build customer loyalty. And the fact that, like, again, like, removing the stigma. So I don't know if it's provincial or if it's federal that it's not allowed. So that's something that I'm actually going to look into.
It's super interesting because I know you're not allowed to open your cannabis inside of the store in Alberta, but I think somebody should be looking at a loophole where they have a patio section outside of their store or whatever, where you're obviously not allowed to smoke there in Calgary because it's no public consumption, but have the opportunity to have those accessories and that accessibility to education. So the staff can actually see the cannabis too, because that's the big pivot, is none of the people in the stores, unless they purchase that cannabis, are actually seeing it and hearing anybody else's opinion about it.
Yeah, can actually give, like, this is my experience. I would agree. And I'm hoping down the road there's loopholes.
There will be.
Or just, like, a little bit relax on the regulations, because, going back to alcohol world, like, you can sample a wine in store.
In a store,
sample,
and there's no limit
beer.
On it.
Like, exactly. Whereas, like, so you know what you're buying, right?
Yeah. Well, so I remember the days of standing there doing tastings, and people had to run the freaking gauntlet in the Crowchild main store, and there's 12 tasters in there, and by the time they get to the beer fridge, people are half cut. Yeah. And you're like...
Like, wait, do you know what you're buying anymore? Or, like, are you okay to go home?
They're like, I'm just buying what he poured me. You're like, okay, awesome. Sure. And that's what's so weird. And one of the big loopholes that I've kind of created is for people to be able to sample product. And that's the hardest thing about the whole marketing spin, is how do you get your product in somebody's hand and create customer differentiation?
Well, 100%. And I think that's, for us, for 7 Acres, it's trying to get the message out to everybody as to, everyone has premium cannabis. What does that actually mean, right? Because all LPs, like, we're right there too. We're also saying we are a premium cannabis company. What is the perception of premium? And that is going to change
real quick,
person, right? And so our main message is, we're cannabis enthusiasts creating and producing cannabis for enthusiasts. So what does that mean to one person to the other? So
totally.
Yeah.
Well, you were saying it's really cool, like your company culture.
Cheers, man.
Yeah, cheers.
Yeah.
L'chaim.
Woohoo. Lambrusco.
Lambrusco, a grape, a city, or a village, and a wine.
Oh.
For everybody at home, we're drinking sparkling red wine, like dark red sparkling wine, and I love it because of the balsamic note.
It's
so
delicious.
good. It's
Shout out
refreshing.
to Barbrico in Edmonton, where that, like, what was it, 4 years ago was the first time I tried a Lambrusco, and I was like, oh my goodness.
Well, I've truly been a wine guy 3.5 years, right? I grew cannabis. I was in the cannabis world.
Vineyard.
Yeah, and well, I saw Psalm on Netflix. I was sitting at home. I had just come back from Vancouver to Calgary. Well, I'd been home for a few months, and I didn't know what I really wanted to do. I was doing sales. I worked in Red Bull, so it's really interesting how many things we've kind of done the
crazy.
same. And I saw Psalm, and I saw them blind tasting wine, and I was like, this is what I have to do. This is how I make people respect what I'm saying about cannabis, because when I worked as a buyer, that was the vocabulary I wanted to use. I just wasn't trained with that dialect.
Right.
So as the movie played, first 5 minutes, I had decided I was sold. I booked a WSET 1 course. That was a Tuesday. I was there on Friday. I got home, and I was like, because I came from agriculture and cannabis, I was like, you know what, I got to grow wine. I understand all the parallels, but I need to go and grow wine. So I put out 100 resumes, and I got a job like a week later to go work at Moran Estates for the 2016 vintage. And I lived on the vineyard for the next 3.5 months in this crazy old house with no central heating. And I lived with 2 Mexican dudes, Ishmael and Candido. They didn't speak any English. And it was one of the best experiences of my life.
So cool.
Yeah, it was great. And then, became a Canadian wine scholar and a WSET 3 and became that international accreditation point.
Yeah.
But I was so lucky as I started tasting wine and getting into wine, because I knew absolutely fucking nothing about wine. Like, I didn't even like the taste of wine. That first day I sat down in that WSET class and I tasted it like critically and really thought about it and pushed the alcohol part away. I was like, holy shit, this is so complex and cool. And I fell in love with it then and obsessed.
Amazing.
Yeah. And now here we are. So it's cool that I've gotten to taste thousands of wines at this point. I was really lucky to meet some great people and be able to have a great tasting group and blind taste a lot of wines, and I became really good at it only because I only had book knowledge. I had no preconceived notion about wine.
Yeah.
And that was my biggest advantage, was I had no formed opinion except from what I read in textbooks.
Right. And then you went out and you're like, I need to go like live and experience it, outside of what I'm reading, right? Because that's what it is.
It was the best place. Well, I was there like a month after I took that WSET course. I hadn't even really read a textbook at that point.
Yeah.
I bought a few wine books, and that's what I do. I just work all day, and then I study at night and watch Jancis Robinson wine show replays, and that was like my 3.5 months. And I came back, and I was so solid. And every day, I'd just go and taste. Like, if I had time, the wineries would be open. I'd hit as many as I could and just get them to blind me. And it was so good, because it was like, boom, I had 50 wines on my palate when I moved to the vineyard, and I came back and there was like 350, 400.
Yeah.
And then the next few years is probably, I like to think it's probably 1,500 or 2,000 wines. But yeah, that probably makes sense in a day when you taste 10, 12, 14.
Totally.
It's crazy. Did you do WSET and those things?
I did not. I actually did not do any WSET, and I really wanted to and still want to. Yeah. Because again, this same thing, like the passion is there. I want to know and learn more.
Totally.
And for me it was like, again, loved it. But you're right. As you can sit there and read so much, and that's what I had to do, because that was part of the job to, go out and actually sell it. But then doing all the tastings, and for me it was, and how it relates to cannabis too, is it was a trip to Italy, actually. Okay. And it was just like, it was 4 in Italy, super cool.
Awesome.
I mean, fuck, you're in Italy.
Yeah.
But then,
in Verona.
Like, in Verona, but we were up north. We went to...
Romeo and Juliet was there, just in case you're trying to think of where it is.
Totally.
Did you feel Juliet's boob when you're in Verona?
A lot of cup cupped one.
Yeah.
So I think there's some sort of
you're supposed to grope the left one or something, and it's
exactly.
Yeah.
So I was like, do I do this too? So of course,
Yes.
look at everyone, and you're just like, hello.
Yeah. Ooh,
Can you
Juliet.
take a picture? I will find love.
That's amazing.
And yeah, well, I guess I did, but no, just like the in-person experience and education that you get. That's just. It's amazing, because that's when you start being like, oh, wait, do I sense, a little and it was the Nebbiolo grape, but I was just like, oh, I can actually tell the difference between, Nebbiolo and, God, now the name is phasing me. After the 3 years, it becomes the king of the grapes. What is
Barolo and Barbaresco?
Barolo! That was like, what is it? Oh my God.
Yeah, sorry. Yes. I got you.
This is why. And I was just like, oh my gosh, okay, I get it. I get the price difference.
Yeah,
so
I see it.
There's so many points that I'm going to talk to, but now I'm like, in my own words, in my own experience, I can actually talk to the story that much better to sell what I'm trying to sell, because it's like, okay, I get it.
When the story makes sense.
Well, the same way with cannabis, as you're talking about with retailers, is that that's the biggest thing for us, is that, how does anybody understand that THC is not the most important thing, and it's the terpenes and what makes your cannabis premium. It's how it's grown, the genetics, and what you're doing when you grow it. What's your curing process? What's your drying and all of that just comes into play in this world too. So
can you bring, I know in my world there was always funding to bring people to the wineries, good customers.
Yeah.
Is there funding? Is that against the rules to bring people to the grow?
It's against the rules, yeah.
Wow.
So if someone is in the area and they can get
themselves
invite them,
yeah,
there,
no problem.
They can get themselves there, then yeah, please come and see the facility.
Yeah.
But we cannot
pay. We can't send you $1,000 Visa gift card for you to book this is crazy. They've locked down cannabis so hard. How can you ever... It's a clear monopoly. It's like, how can you ever build those relationships? How can you, as things progress, when there's 165 retailers in Alberta, allocations, people don't understand that don't come from the liquor world. It's like the best stuff goes to the people with your best relationship. And period.
Well, and it's like where you want to see, so
products.
we actually have a partnership with Khalifa Kush Enterprises, which is amazing. And what they do out in the States is they actually do these drops. So sort of the best vintage.
Yeah.
The drop. And it's to specific retailers that they're like, this is where
this is our guy. Yeah.
Same thing, exactly what you're saying in allocations on the alcohol bev world, where, we've got Penfolds Grange, and there's 100 bottles. Where are they going? We want to see them in...
Yeah, they're going to the homies.
The premium, exactly, retailers
the best outlet.
Well, and the people that know.
Yeah, the people that will represent your product on the highest scale.
100%, and they understand why that bottle costs $800, and the person buying it understands, so.
Grange is just Shiraz, right? It's like the fire best. It's only 2 rows or something, or 4 rows or 7 rows.
I think. Oh God, this is like testing my knowledge.
I don't know.
It's a select amount of rows.
I've never got to drink it. I
never got to go to the vineyard, but would have loved to.
I've only ever been to Canadian vineyards.
I
got promised a lot of trips.
Canadian,
never went.
Yeah. I was lucky enough, and I honestly, things happen for a reason, and we are where we are because this is where we're meant to be. But
totally.
Super lucky to go to Napa, Italy, and of course, the Okanagan. And then just on my own went to the Yarra Valley and
awesome. That's
had
cool.
Such a blast with my girlfriend.
Yeah, what a place to be.
Yeah, that was on my I'm gonna take some time off and.
I'm scared of spiders.
In the world.
That's why I wouldn't go.
Oh my God. It's like, I'm not a bug person.
We're talking about Australia for everybody who doesn't have good geography.
Yes. It is, there's flying cockroaches there. They fly. It's not a myth for anyone who's like, no, they don't. I've seen it with my own eyes and like been like terrified for my life. And my uncle's like, no, they're part of the... I was like, no, they're not. They're not part of my life.
Yeah, I'm done with this.
Yeah, it's, you know what? It's such an amazing country. I've been, again, fortunate enough to, like, see Western Australia.
Okay.
Oh, God, I totally forgot. I did get... And Margaret River, too.
Oh,
and Swan Lake.
I dream of going to Margaret River. Yeah.
I totally forget, like, all the travels. I love to travel. It's a huge part of my life. But I did Western, and then I did Eastern, and, you know, did, like, Gold Coast, did the Whit Sundays,
cool.
Sydney, like, you name it. Just super cool country, and would continue to go there. I have family there, too. But, man...
The bugs.
The creatures. Like, they have the most deadly like...
Yeah, it's like the deadliest place on Earth.
Like,
yeah.
Like, literally. Just thinking about it, I'm like...
That's why they like to party. That's why they have such great attitudes, because you can die any day.
They're the coolest people, that's for sure.
They are cool.
I think they're the most... And I'm maybe making this up, but, like, you find Australians everywhere in the world. Like, they love to travel.
Yeah, and they're happy. They're happy to be there, no matter what.
Yeah, even surfer dude vibe.
Oh,
it's all good, man.
My stepdad lived in Australia for quite a while, and he moved back with the whole family, but his oldest sister stayed. And so I have a bunch of cousins who are like big Australian bros. And they're awesome. They all are. There's three brothers, and they all look identical, and they're all like 6'5" to 6'7". These huge,
large people.
Happy, big Australians. They're awesome. My winemaker moved back to Australia because she was like, which is crazy because the last time I talked to her, she was like, no, I probably wouldn't go back because it's kind of scary. But
she moved back.
I'm sure the money was right.
Yeah.
I'm sure the money was right. She's a fantastic winemaker. She had been the consultant for like when Tantalus got off the ground. So many award-winning wines. Her ex-husband and old cellar hand is the winemaker at Meyer family.
Oh wow!
And so she's
well connected.
Yeah, she's fantastic. She's a great story. Her name's Jack Kemp.
Okay.
And she worked in Burgundy, France at a Grand Cru. I forget the Grand Cru she worked at, but incredible vineyard. Tiny little woman, 5'4", 110 pounds. And the only reason they hired her was because her name's Jacqueline, but she applied as Jack, and they thought it was a man.
Oh.
And so she showed up from New Zealand with her experience and everything that she had done.
Yeah.
And it was a lady,
a tiny little gal,
and they were basically laughed at her, and she showed those guys up.
Good for her.
She had some great stories, like like women weren't even allowed in like the tastings and stuff.
Yeah.
And then eventually it was like, no, I make this wine. I know what the fuck I'm talking about. Have some respect and grow the fuck up.
No one else is gonna know it better than me. Like, I made it.
Yeah.
Of course I have to be in that room.
Yeah.
Good for her.
She's badass. She was super badass, super quiet, just very centered and focused, and amazing Pinot Noir. I wish I had a bottle of the Pinot Noir. My buddy, luckily.
I love Pinot. So when I, like, before, getting into the world.
Yeah.
And getting into the industry, I should say. I was big bold wines. I'm like, oh, I love Shirazes and
I like Cab Sauv.
And Malbecs, the Malbec trend. And was not because of the movie. I actually saw the movie after, but was just like thinking I don't like Merlot.
Yeah.
And had nothing to do with Sideways.
Yeah, fuck you, Paul Giamatti. Merlot is bomb. Best bottle of wine I've ever had was Merlot.
Nothing to do with that movie. But like Pinot Noir. Oh, one of my like.
Is there anywhere in the world specifically that you like it from?
Good question.
I know I'm wine quizzing you now.
I know. You know what? I've been New Zealand has been my like just because of like the you know what I mean, like the climate.
Do you fuck with like now I'm gonna be doing like
Central Otago?
Central Otago is my favorite New Zealand Pinot spot.
Yeah.
But Cloudy Bay was also pumping out some amazing.
I've not had any from there.
Yeah.
I've only like
I'm obsessed with.
Kept going with Central Otago.
I love Pacific Northwest Pinot Noir, growing with Burgundy clones, 666, 667, 777. That wine, like Oregon, Washington, BC Pinot, is my favorite. I would bathe in it. Like I love Riesling. It's like German Riesling, Canadian Riesling, Pacific Northwest Pinot.
I do like German Riesling.
Oh my god, it's just so good. People hate on Riesling because it's sweet, but I love.
But not all Rieslings are sweet either, right? So like
for everybody, go look for a cabinet level if you're getting a German Riesling.
I don't even know what that means. Cabinet level?
Yeah, it's like Cabinet, Auslese, Spätlese, Beerenauslese, Trockenbeerenauslese is like the level of sugar levels.
Oh, see, something I just learned. Like I do not know German. Literally prior to going on to the agency that I was with, we were mainly New World. Like literally there was one property when I worked at Treasury that was in Italy. Okay. And so it was all New World. So like my knowledge of now getting into the old world, which is like totally flip side of every, the entire industry, is now like learning more and more about the old world wines, which is awesome. Completely opposite of I guess how you're supposed to do it, but fuck it. I'm going to do it my way.
Yeah. New World wines, I think it's great to learn them first because then you can reverse engineer where everything.
Well, and it was just like that's when I got into the industry. That's what the company
sold.
That was the portfolio, right?
Yeah,
so it's
and
like
that's what you drink.
Fuck, I got a lot to learn. I have to learn this, so let's learn, what I can, and then branch out from there. So
I was so lucky to I think it was my third sales call I ever had. So how I got my job selling wine. My mom meets a guy at the Rocky Mountain Wine Festival, dude who ended up being my boss and mentor, David Walker, awesome dude. And she goes to the Giusti booth. Did you ever come across Giusti Wines? Calgary owned and operated. It's the biggest private Prosecco landholder in the world. Anyways, so she goes, sees him at Rocky Mountain Wine Fest. And
yes, with a G. With
the G, yeah.
Yes. Sorry, it was like...
Okay, so that's who I was the on-premise consultant for like 2.5 years. Okay. So my mom meets this guy and she's like, yeah, my son's from Calgary. He's out on a vineyard working in BC. And David's like, what? Like, there's a Calgary, like a white Calgary kid out in BC trying to be a winemaker? Like, here's my card. Get him to call me. Cool. And so my mom calls me and I'm doing a press. This is like pretty late. I think that show's in November or end of October. And it's literally snowing. Yes. It's 9 o'clock. I'm like, had the longest day finishing this press out. And my mom's like, yeah, this guy wants to give you a job. Like, sounds like it'd be great. And I was like, fuck you, Mom. Like, just leave me alone, okay?
Yeah. Thanks for setting it up.
Yeah, exactly. And you know what? It 3-4 phone calls later, and that was the job I had for the next 2.5 years, and had my mentor. And I was so lucky because David, it was really cool. He couldn't drink because of some health things, but was one of the first WSET diplomas in Canada alongside James Clure from WSET. So he's like, and ran the wine program at Banff Fairmont Springs. So he loves champagne, loves Riesling, and it was so cool to have him showing me wines, telling me real textbook about the wines, and just tasting a little bit with me, and it really moved things. But then my third sales call, so I get this job.
Okay, wait, Mom, Mrs. Friedman, that was your son saying sorry.
Yeah,
you set that up very well.
Diana, shout out, Mrs. McIntyre now.
Sorry.
It's okay. Papa Friedman's out there too.
Well, there you go. But she set that one up there, so no more fuck you, Mom. That was like a thank you, Mom.
Yeah, she hooked it up. It was a really good job.
Yeah.
And so my third sales call, I walk into Britannia Wine Merchants.
Oh yeah.
And which I'm sure you know, it's kind of one of the really hard places to even sell wine into.
Those boutique ones are very tough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they were so nice. And they were like, you know what? Tomorrow we do blind tasting. We have a blind tasting group every Thursday if you'd like to come back. And I went back every single Thursday for the next 2 years. And those became some of my absolute best friends. And I tasted thousands of wines with those guys. Thirsty Thursday. Without Thirsty Thursday, I would know nothing about wine, and I would have not got to drink Verticals of Sassicaia from 96 to 2012, and Rubicon and Inglenook and all these fucking crazy wines that I could never be at. It was
not for that. That's amazing.
Because I can buy $100 bottle of wine every once in a while, or even a $200 bottle of wine to share with people that can share that same experience with me. Yeah. I am excited to do that. Yeah. When Signorello was on fire, I went and found a bottle of Signorello and paid way too much for it because everybody was like, "It's on fire. You're never gonna get any more of this." But it was great, and that was a great moment. I don't even know why I'm bringing that up. Anyways. Cheers to
just
wine.
because we can.
Yeah, exactly.
Cheers.
Love it.
It's a lovely beverage.
So have you tasted any cannabis on the legal market that you've enjoyed past 7 Acres? Have you explored a lot of that cannabis, or are you just loyal to the brand?
That's a good question. You know what? I've dabbled into some. There's a lot out there right now. Mm-hmm. And I've dabbled into some. If I had to pick, like I've had some Up Cannabis, Broken Coast, Tantalus, some Canopy SKUs as well. Mm-hmm. There's lots of stuff under there. LBS, plain packaging.
All the worst stuff is Canopy.
Not Haiku. Is it Haiku? What's under? Oh God,
There's so many. I think there's 8 or 9 under Canopy.
One under there. Yeah,
And I know there's Tweed and.
Exactly.
And DNA.
DNA genetics, yeah. So there's quite a lot out there that I think, and there's still so much more for me to get through. I'd say Broken Coast, I think.
Well, they
would be my
yeah.
This is good.
They were a great LP. I had been with them since 2014 as my medicinal license producer, or one of them, because I think I tried 20 or 22 LPs just through the medical system to find out and see who would be playing the game right. And Broken Coast was great.
And Quest too. They're not available in Alberta. They are in BC.
Okay.
There's of course a lot more BC stuff available there, but I'd say Broken Coast and Tantalus would be my
Okay. No, don't worry. You can tap the mic.
I accidentally hit the mic. I flailed.
We don't have a video yet. I'll get video soon.
Oh God, that'll be interesting. I'm glad there's no video.
We should have a dab, speaking of that. I'm going to serve you up one. We got the Puffco Peaks.
Fabulous.
I got this jar of Girl Scout Cookies No. 3 rosin that my man, the Tom Cruise of rosin, pressed out for me. This cannabis was grown by a beautiful ACMPR grower, gifted to me. This is legal cannabis in a legal market. But
in the medical side, yeah, totes.
Nobody has, you know what? I meant to grab a different kind of cannabis because this one really smells like old man breath.
It kind of, a little bit, yeah.
A little bit of Fruit Loops and old man breath is really my general consensus. We got the Puffco Peaks. I'm just gonna load yours up and then we can take a dual dab.
Awesome.
How much time you got?
Sorry guys, I got to drive to Edmonton because as we said at the beginning, I moved.
And I'm sitting here in my Calgary Flames jersey. Calgary Flames, Game 2, Colorado Avalanche. We gonna sweep the series.
Game 1 was...
you watched it? It was a fucking awesome game.
It was on fire.
Those first 2 periods, that was like some intense hockey. I was like, man, who's gonna score first? And then the momentum shift. It was the TSN turning point. I don't know if you like sports.
I love sports in I just like sports in general. Am I gonna claim that I know everything? God, no.
No, but you enjoy
my fiance can run off stats. That's how much he loves sports.
Okay,
but
so you're around it.
Yeah, I am, but I actually enjoy sports. I don't live and breathe it.
Yes.
I do love hockey, and I also love playoff hockey because it's just
so exciting.
It's accelerated, right? This is full-fledged, and you can see
they're going fast and hard.
Of course, but you can see that. You can see the effort being put in, and that's when it's yes, this is what this is what the fan base is here for. But I'm a Jets fan because
that's okay.
Winnipeg, man.
I didn't really start. So when this vibrates, have you hit one of these before?
No.
Okay, well, it's the Puffco Peak. I turned it on for you. Just dab in there. When it vibrates, you're just going to suck on it pretty lightly.
Perfect.
I
I've only
started
done it out of like dab rigs or the dab pen.
Okay.
With like the torch and the the system.
This is I like these just for when I'm driving around. The Puffco P for when I'm driving.
Yeah.
Oh, we're good to go. And hold it straight up and down and put that thing put the carb cap towards the front. Perfect. And it should go well with the Lambrusco. That was kind of what I was
the pairing.
hoping, was that the kind of old man, breathy, peanut buttery.
The Lambrusco.
Oh, it kills. It's awesome. So it kind of adds like a little bit of a citrus element and takes the tannic feel away from the red wine. It's pretty cool. I'm into it.
Delicious.
Okay, so it turned off, but there's lots more in there. So you got to double tap it.
To get it again.
Yeah. Do you want me to turn it on for you? Yeah.
No, I'm good.
Okay, you can just put it aside. Yeah, you got to drive.
Yeah.
It's okay. I'm really good at getting people a little intoxicated, but we're going to send you in an Uber back to Edmonton.
100%. No, I cannot. I'm a very safe consumption person, so.
That's good to hear. Sometimes.
You know what? There's just, in my opinion, that's the biggest thing out there right now.
It's an issue.
And we all got to be champions in like safe consumption.
We need consumption lounges, and there needs to be a duty of care in place. Like, one of the biggest things I'm learning throwing dinners is how to control people's intoxication when they're intoxicated with cannabis.
Yeah.
And if people aren't learning that, and it's just going to run rampant, it's dangerous. And I'm not into it. Like, I don't know if you saw the patio that's happening at the Toronto Craft Beer Festival.
Oh, yes, I saw the
So that pissed me off right away.
Oh, really?
The last
because they're gonna have a legal
consumption area.
Yep.
But the last place that you should be promoting the consumption of cannabis is inside of a craft beer festival in the hot sun. If you want to make people throw up, that's where you tell them to smoke cannabis. Nice, you nailed it. Wait till it vibrates again for you. Yeah, because it's just going to heat back up.
Okay, there we go.
Yeah, it seems just so dangerous to me to, again, promote the consumption of cannabis inside of a drinking festival in the sun.
Right.
That just seems foolish.
They don't go together. They haven't been going together, is what you're saying. Like, in regards to current retailers, like, they're not.
Health Canada has a very big problem with promoting the consumption of cannabis and alcohol.
Yeah.
And putting something called a patio in the middle of a beer festival, to me, is promoting consumption of cannabis and alcohol and nothing else. If you're a medicinal patient, you're going to go to the smoking area. I've never had a problem going. I don't enjoy going to the smoking area to consume my cannabis, but I'll go to the smoking area to consume cannabis.
Right.
If you could just separate those two places, that would be great. But putting it right in the middle as an attraction is a dangerous feature.
Right. Interesting.
Just for the duty of care, because nobody has experience in this, right? Like, I have now a bunch of experience in providing cannabis and alcohol in a safe environment. Nobody else is collecting this data.
So I wonder if this is their way of, like, sort of a trial and see. Honestly, like.
Oh, you didn't click.
Is that what they're seeing? Is that does this work or does this not?
Well, that's a shitty place to do the test run. It's a bad guinea pig.
Yeah, I don't know enough to comment. Just because I've never, like, when my friends and I do have a beverage or two, and we're smoking, we're also adults. Like, there's a controlled environment because Well,
and you're cannabis consumers. What worries me is the idea that you go and you're with not just two of your friends who are normal cannabis consumers, but you go with like 8 of your friends.
Yeah.
And then you guys have cannabis. Everybody's legally allowed to go into this cannabis consumption lounge. You've had a few beers, and everybody's like, oh, I'll have a puff. And the best place to meet the porcelain princess is by having a few afternoon beers and then having cannabis when you're completely unexperienced, especially if you're a little bit dehydrated. Right. It's literally the recipe for the shittiest cannabis moment you're ever gonna have.
Right, because you're gonna green out, and then
you're gonna
then you're gonna be like, I never want to do this again, based on that. Right.
Yeah, they better have a lot of porta potties ready for people to puke on that patio.
Porcelain princess. I like that. I'm gonna use that. I think I called it the porcelain porcelain crown.
That's what I was looking for.
Oh, okay.
That's totally what I was looking for.
I am the worst. I actually like make up my own sayings because my mom, you know, again, like we're immigrants, and she's adorable. She clearly can speak English very well, but she has the cutest little sayings.
I love that.
So I make my own up now because of my mom. I'm like, of course, gosh, Mom, why did you do that? So when you said porcelain princess, I was like, God, I've been calling it something entirely wrong.
I've been botching this. Thanks, Mom, for making me like your little
and
funny.
then I'm like, oh no, I got one right.
I love that. My old Polish buddy, his parents used to call vegetables vegetables. And I just loved it. I thought it was so. Make sure you eat your vegetables. And
Yes,
I
very
loved
cute.
it. It
So
was
cute.
So cute, exactly.
But that's culture, and like, you know, it's integrating it in your own way when like the, you know, our mums and dads, and just including myself, come from a completely different country, and you're like, how do I immigrate in, right?
How do I assimilate? How do I make this my place, and how am I like everybody else?
Having my own place in this place as well.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's it. And it's crazy to think. I don't even know. I would be the most Canadian dude if I moved anywhere in the world. Like, I fucking love Canada so much. I cry when I hear the anthem. Like, I love Canada. Full stop.
Yeah.
I would be that guy, like, just like the asshole USA guys with a huge flag in his backyard. That'd be it. That's where the Canadian lives. Yeah. Actually, maybe now that I'm thinking about what we're doing in the backyard, maybe we should fly a flagpole back there.
Oh, wow. Oh, right. You're getting the backyard looking pretty.
Sarah's doing a lot more.
What was the date? May 1st?
May 4th. May the 4th be with you.
May 4th.
Yeah, Star Wars Day.
There you go.
And luckily I'm a nerd, or else it would have been really weird.
I thought you said that was your birthday, or is it Star Wars Day and
Yes.
your birthday? Wow.
I know.
So you're extra special.
Yeah, May the 4th be with you. I was born on Luke Skywalker Day. No big deal. I'm pretty cool.
I am a true fan.
Yeah, well, I kind of had to be. I think I got stuck into that one. Imagine I was born on May the 4th and I didn't like Star Wars.
Yeah,
I've been dealing with the jokes my whole life, so.
Yeah, it's ingrained.
That's it. I put way too big of a dab of this. It's just still going. Just hauling on it.
I'm sure mine is, but I'm like, no, safe consumption.
Save consumption. Oh, look, I have text messages. That's okay. What time do you have to leave?
I should be getting going pretty soon here.
This is that moment. Okay.
Yeah, we're driving out.
I tell people
to make it back home for 6. So.
Oh yeah, then this is the right time.
Yeah.
Okay, so usually what I ask people is if you had a microphone and a stage and you could tell the world something, anything, what would you tell them? Doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be inspirational. It doesn't have to be anything. Just like, you got a microphone. What are you telling everybody?
I would say respect the plant.
Yeah. The byline. Plug.
Hashtag respect the plant.
Yeah, nailed it. Well, I'm gonna end it there. I love it. Thank you so much for being here. It was a pleasure chatting. Let's have one more cheers before we're off. Let's make it nice and loud.
Thank you for having me. This has been great.
No, it was fantastic, and you'll be able to hear yourself. And hopefully the Flames win tonight, so that you can take that one back to Edmonton and rub it in to everybody who lives up there.
Go Jets, go!
Oh yeah, Jets, right? Jets.
Also, go Flames, go!
There may be a Calgary Jets series, so that would be pretty awesome.
I know.
Would you come to Calgary for one of those games?
Damn straight.
Damn
like
straight.
Every game.
Okay.
It's right here.
We'll be drinking. I look forward to it. Thank you so much for joining once again.
Thank you, Andy.
Bye. Cheers.
Cheers.